Okay, Darren here, BestAutoDetailingTips.com. I only got a few minutes. I'm just buried with work this week, but I want to use the moment to illustrate and to highlight a couple of pointers. First thing, someone talked about washing a car in the sun. The obvious answer is don't do it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just being a smartass. I have to do it every day. The simple answer really is, though, is you break it down into steps. Because the main point about washing in the sun with regular water, and that's why guys use deionized water, is it will not spot up as much. But once that water mixes with dirt, it can create water spots. So really what you want to do is just break down the big water spots. That's your main goal. So if you wash the car, keep it wet, break, and once it's been rinsed off, just break down the big water spots. Don't look for perfection. Just get the big water spots that are standing, because that's what will spot up. You can leave all kinds of water trails and marks from your microfiber or chamois or whatever you're drying it off with, but those will come off. If you still have some water spots you can't get off, the wheel cleaner that I recommend by Meguiar's will actually take water spots off. It reacts to the minerals in the water. Don't use it on glass, but everywhere else it's safe. On paint, it will remove water spots. Okay, next thing is I am working in the sun today. In fact, I've got like my little temp gauge, and I wanted to see, okay, 130 degrees right there. Up here is 161 degrees. Okay, and that is smoking hot. I couldn't pan out, but the top of the roof, 160 degrees. Right here, 124. 131. So if I do it at an angle, it seems to register like 125. If I do it directly on, it's right at 130. You can see the little laser dot there. Anyhow, the point is at 129, I can keep my hand there. It's definitely warm, but I would not call it what I would say overly hot paint. That's the cool thing about products today, is you can work in the sun. But what I want to highlight is the fact that because I'm also removing this decal, there's a couple points, and it's all about time. Time is money. How do you save time? How do you become more profitable? Because that's my goal, is to be the most profitable. I don't care about being the biggest. Of course, I'm always shooting for the best, but that's subjective, but I want to be the most profitable. So how do you do that? Well, it's always about strategizing and problem solving. So in this case, I've got to clay this truck. I've already clayed it. Because I was working in the direct sunlight, that means, and this is what I use as my trick, is one of these water sprite chamois, and I fold it up like this, and it keeps the surrounding area wet as I go back and forth, and that way I'm not using a separate sprayer of lubricant, I'm not using separate lubricant, I'm not having to hold something else, and I can cut to the chase. I just have to keep this wetter in the direct sunlight. Second thing is, and I'm sticking to the clay bar right now, is, for example, like on this truck, you've got what's called character lines, body lines, whatever. This is why, regardless of all the other pads out there with the clays and surface prep pads, is a clay bar. Ultimately, you're still going to end up using it on each car. Why? Because nothing will mold into these tight little crevices like a clay bar will. You can literally mold it into the exact body line and use it back and forth. There's nothing more frustrating for both me as a detailer and the customer to come out, and trust me, Murphy's Law will dictate that the one place that they will feel will be the place that you have missed with the clay bar. And these little surface ledges here are notorious for collecting the fallout or the pollution. So you got to make sure that you're hyper vigilant, and this is where awareness comes in, to make sure you get those parts. Okay, that's enough of the clay bar and working in the sun. It's all about strategy. The next step is, in this video, is because I have multiple jobs to do. I got to clay this truck, which is done. I have to wax it, but I have to remove these decals. Now these decals are brand new. You don't have to overthink it. So I've allowed this side to just bake in the sun. We've already determined that it's 130 degrees. This decal will literally peel off. You don't need to whip out a heat gun for it. And honestly, in the shade, it would probably peel off this easily. Now there's almost no residue because this is a brand new truck. It's literally like a week old. I have no idea how long it sat on the dealer lot. Obviously it sat there for a little while because it did have some fallout on it. So for all you people at home, typically there's going to be an outline of a little bit of adhesive. Rubbing alcohol is simple enough to just remove that level of adhesive. That's all you need to know on that. But let's go to the other side and I'll show you when decals, if you're ever going to remove decals, do them sooner than later. The longer they're allowed to sit, the more difficult they are to get off. So this is in the shade, and I will pull out my 100 degrees. Wow. Okay, we're like the 3rd of June. I don't even know. It's the beginning of June. Sunny Southern California. Today is supposed to reach temperatures of the upper 80s. Yesterday reached about 90 degrees, so it's pretty warm. But even this, because it's so brand new, I don't have to overcomplicate it. Once again, detailing made simple. Guys will, they'll whip out the little cloth and rub it down, and then they'll get out the heat gun and slowly take it off. It's like, just peel it. It's new, just peel it off. Bam, you're done. What'd that take, a whole 3.5 seconds? And there's literally like no residue. Well, there's a little bit of adhesive here, but I'm gonna treat that. I'm gonna go over it with the clay bar, even though I know it's virgin paint underneath. I'm going to make sure that there's no outline, because once you get this in different light, it will reveal different things. When I'm all done with this, so my original point is let's say these decals were a year old and it did require some heat. So what I would do is, because the clay bar is more difficult to use in the sunlight on hot paint, what I would do is take off the decal on that side that's sitting in the sun, clay bar this side because it's in the shade, wax this side because it's in the shade. It's easier. Everything's easier on cool shaded surfaces, but that doesn't mean that you have to be limited by it. You just have to adapt and use appropriate techniques and different techniques based on the situation. So in this moment, I want to save time. I don't want to repeat steps. I don't want steps to take longer than they need to. So I remove the decal that's sitting in the sun. It's already warmed up. I do the clay bar and waxing in the shaded side. Now I'm going to flip this truck around. I'm going to clay bar. Then this side will become cool and shaded. Then I can clay it and wax it and cut to the chase, and that's how you save time. That's how you can become more profitable. End of video. Hope you learned something. See you on the other side.